All right, so A is 0.25 moles of H2O. All right, what about B? I have B. Zachary? 2.75 moles of BaOH2. Okay, C? Yes. I can try to blow it up. Oops. Is that better? Okay. All right. Oh, now it goes right back. All right. When I write in the answer, I'll blow it up for you. Okay. Because it's not letting me do both at the same time. All right, what about C? Did you see yet? Okay, Danielle? 0.36 moles. And like I said, I will let me blow this up. Okay, so there are our three answers. So, do we need to go over any of those? So look at those, look at your answers, and any of those that you didn't get right, we will go back over. We did attendance, and we'll go back over that. Yeah. Zoe, Billy, Nathan. Nathan is not here. Tyler. You're here. I'm sorry. Zach is here, Anna's here, Kristen, Danielle, Abby's not here. Brody is here, Abigail is here, Isaac and Jacob are here. Alright. Okay, so let's work these out. Like I said, unfortunately, when I try to work these out, it's going to shrink this back down. Well, maybe not. Oh, I have no idea why it didn't do that, but anyway. Okay, so on the first one, what we always do, and this is what I was noticing on your test, the people didn't do this. Okay, I said over and over and over and over. You need to use the unit multiplier. If you will learn to use the unit multiplier, these will be so easy. Okay, when you do, they're easy. You know you got it right. No problem. When you don't, it gets very confusing. And it's a 50-50 shot. You want to multiply, you want to divide, you got to sit there and think about it. That wastes time. Okay? So, unit multipliers, we start with what we were given, which we were given 4.50 grams of water. And the other thing people weren't doing, I noticed, is you didn't put in your units. And I know, it seems like, oh, it's such a stupid little thing. I know, it's grams of water. Trust me, in the next unit, it's going to get more complicated. Take the 30, not even 30 seconds, take the 2 seconds to write G82O. And it will make your life so much easier. Now, I can't come along and make you do it. I can't hold your hand and make you do it. I'm telling you, if you do, this is going to be way easier than if you're like, I don't need to do that. Okay? So, 20 years of experience, it's easier if you just do it this way. Okay? All right. So, if we want to get rid of grams of water, what do we put on the bottom? That must be the first question you ask. Grams. This is why unit multipliers is so much easier, because it's the same process, the same thing every time you do a problem. And that makes it easier. When you're doing it the same way every time, it makes it really easy. Okay? So the first question is, if I want to get rid of grams, I put it on the bottom. Okay? So I write grams of H2O on the bottom. What unit am I asked to find? Moles. Where does it go? On top. Unit I get rid of is on the bottom. Unit I want to get is on the top. You just got to memorize that. Other than that, it's the same setup all the time, every time. So, in 1 mole of something, this is the other thing you just have to memorize. In 1 mole of something, we always have the molecular mass, which is the mass of every atom in the formula. So that's 16 for oxygen, 2 for the 2 hydrogens, that's 18. Okay, before I go any further, any questions? Do we know where I got all these numbers? Do we know why I put them where I put them? Because it's not random. 18 came from adding up the mass of oxygen, which is 16, and the mass of my 2 hydrogens, 1 apiece. Okay? Alright? Good there? So once you get to this the rest is literally arithmetic. Okay? So what we're going to do now, because these cancel out, we're going to multiply, because that line there means we multiply. 4.5 times 1. And then we're going to divide, because this is a fraction line, which means divide, by 18. 4.5 divided by 18. Okay? 0.25 moles. Okay? And the unit multiplier helps you realize that you're going to divide by the 18 instead of multiply by the 18. I saw that numerous times on the test. You multiplied by something you should have divided by. And it was because you didn't set up the unit multiplier. Okay? Or because you didn't put in your units and you got your unit multiplier upside down. Okay? Or if you put in the units, that's that double check of, oh, wait, those things don't cancel out, so it can't go there. It needs to go in the other place. Okay? So, I know y'all don't like to show work. I used to be a math teacher too, so I know that that is like the most torturous thing in the world when the teacher said, show your work. I don't want it. Okay? I know that. I get it. But if you will, it will make your life easier. That's why we tell you do it. It's going to make your life easier in the end. Okay? All right. Any questions on A? So here's what I want you to do. I'm not going to work out B right now. I want you to rework it. If you missed B, I want you to rework it out, see if you can do it. Then I'll work it out for you. That's the other thing. Okay? If I'm not saying you're doing this, so please don't think I'm being stupid for you. Oh, there's nothing I can do about it if you do. If you simply copy someone else's work to get it done, or if you simply Google the answer and copy what Google says to get it done, you are shooting your own self in the foot. Because you're not going to learn how to do it, and you get on a test, and you'll have this problem, and you're like, I don't remember what they did. She did 50 problems for homework. She can't remember what they did. Because you didn't do it yourself. Okay? So, as hard as it is, try to avoid that temptation of, I got to get this assignment done. I just got to get it done, I got to get it done, and I don't care how I get it done, I just got to get it done. Okay? It's okay short term, but long term, it'll come back on you. You don't want to do that. Okay? So, write it yourself. If you want to look at how somebody did it, that's fine. But don't just copy how they did it. See, there's a difference. There's a difference between, oh, Daniel, let me see how you did this, and Daniel, let me come through. Okay? So, great.
How did I get 3 of those students?
Okay, so what I want you to do is tell me, are you doing B or C? B? All right, so tell me how you started. Tell me what you've written down on paper, and I'm going to write it up here, and then we'll go back to it. You wrote 471.6 grams. I hope you're writing the GBaOH2. And this. Okay, that's what you got so far. Okay. Yes, that's where our mix-up is. It's not 154. It should be 171. Y'all got it right there? Okay. Should be 171. So let me explain how we got that. On barium, we have 137 for BA. We have 2 oxygens. That's 137 plus 32. And we have 2 hydrogens, which would be 7. Okay? So it should be 171.3. And this is 1 mole. So when you divide that out, you'll get 2.75. Does that make sense?
Is it okay that I got 2.76?
Yes, that's fine. And like I said, when you show your work like that, I'm right. Okay. All right, what about C? Do the same thing with C. If you've got C wrong, once you try and work it out yourself, you know what the right answer is supposed to be. And then if you still don't get it, then we'll put what you put up there and we'll work out. These are the kind of little things that if you don't tell me, then I'm just going to assume, oh, you know how to do more math, or you know how to do this. But now we know that's my problem. I need to work on that. Okay? And unit 5 is just going to be more of this and bigger. So we need to, it's not one of those things, I'll just skip it and it'll go away. You can't. This is the main part of chemistry. I can't just skip it. It'd be like skipping adding in math. You can't skip it.
Can we go back to the acid?
To the what?
Back to the acid, please.
The acid.
Yeah, the acid.
The lab in there?
Yeah.
That lab in there is based on this stuff right here.
They made more.
That lab in there doesn't work if we don't know how to do this. It's fun and pretty to look at, but it's useless other than that, okay? All right, I'm going to give you another minute or two to ask a question on C, and then we'll move on. We have done lots of practice problems with these. That's why I gave you those percent composition problems and those molar mass problems and the mole concept. I gave you all those problems to get this practice out, okay, so that we can do better on the test. So somewhere, it was some form of miscommunication. Yes?
I got 0.64.
0.64. All right, tell me what you wrote down. I'm going to assume that we got the 129.68 grams here. Okay. All right. 202. Yes, it should be 357. Okay, now here's why. We have 3 irons. Okay, so it's 3 times 55. Okay, you have to include these subscripts. Subscripts tell you how many there are. Okay, so you have to say 3 times 55.85. Okay, so 3 times 55.9. I'll round it. And then we have 2 potassiums, so that would be 2 times 31. And then we have 8 oxygens. Okay? Because 4 times 2 is 8. Okay? Now, if you think that's where you're going wrong on the test every time, that is the easiest fix in the world. Okay? So we should be good. Just don't forget your subscripts. Subscripts tell you how many there are. Okay?
What was the 103 what?
0.36. Oh, I'm sorry, 357.49. 357.49. Okay? All right. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about, the next thing I want to talk about is let's talk about the test. You can pull yours up. You should be able to view it. And Bryant and Nathan, for both of y'all, because the timers ran out and I didn't realize that when we took the test, I put in a second attempt. So if y'all want to go in and do a second attempt, you can do the ones that you didn't get to. And then I add the two scores together. That's how I got your grades. So y'all just did one attempt. So I took your first attempt and your grade is based on that first attempt. So go back in, do the second attempt, and then when you do that second attempt, I will grade that and add those two scores together and change it to 9. It did change. It changed to test 4. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to open up. I'm not going to go over each and every problem in detail because obviously they need to do theirs, and that wouldn't be fair to y'all. But I am going to. You can't open it? Okay, then let me fix that. Oh, that's right, because you have to go through you can go through the lockdown browser and look at it if you choose to, or it's up to you. All right, so what I didn't really look too much at the multiple choice questions, so y'all will need to go through and look at those multiple choice questions, and it'll show you what the right answer is and that kind of thing. What I do want to do is talk a bit about the math questions. All right, so what I did as far as grading these math questions is if you did not show me any work at all and you got it wrong, that was 0 out of 3 points. Okay? If you did not show me any work but you got it right, I only gave you 2 out of 3 because you got to show me your work. I have to see work. All right? Then if you made a silly mistake, like you got unless the question was about molecular mass, okay, and if you just got the molecular mass wrong, but you got everything else set up right, I gave you like 2 out of 3, somewhere in there. If you were kind of sort of maybe one little step was right, but all the other ones were wrong, I gave you 1. That's kind of how I scored it. So the reason I'm not going over this in detail is because I am going to offer you the chance on the math and the free response to do sort of test corrections. Okay? Because they're not going to show you the right answer necessarily. Okay? So you can do it on a piece of paper. So what I want you to do is just redo those problems on a piece of paper. Tell me why you got it wrong, and then rework it correctly. Tell me what you did wrong. So, Brody, I'm not picking on you, but you made the best example this morning. Perfect example. Okay? So, you're looking at that problem and you're saying, I added my molecular mass wrong, and that's why I got the problem wrong. I want you to put some thought in that and figure out what it is you did wrong. Please don't say, I just need to study more. Okay? I want something specific that you did wrong in that problem. Because that's going to help you figure out what it is so you don't do it again. Okay? All right? On 16 through 21. Now, you can go back and you can watch all the review videos, because I put tons of review videos. Part of that free response question is in the review videos. Almost word for word. Okay? One of those. So, go back and watch those. Look at what you did. Look at what you should have done. Okay? And tell me what you did wrong. And then work it out correctly. Now show me all the work. Well, just give me the answer, because I know what the answer is. Right? So show me all the work that you were supposed to do. Tell me what you did wrong. Okay? And let's try and have those by Monday. Okay? We got our formal lab report coming up Friday, so we don't want to call on Monday stuff. So let's try and have these corrections for 16 through 21 in by Monday. And let's do them on a piece of paper. Unless you're remote, for those who might be listening who are remote. Unless you are remote, then just do it on a Google Doc and you'll just email it to me.
I do have a question. So since me and Daniela have two tests, technically, the three response question.
Yes.
Is the grade is on one of them?
Yeah, I literally added the two scores together.
Okay.
So if you open them up, one of them may have said 10 and the other one may have said 12. Well, I added those two scores and got 22.
Okay.
And then I've also already added the normal curves that I put. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So they're
Do you?
They're due February 8th.
That's Monday, yes. Go on a piece of paper or on a Google Doc, correct 16 through 21. Tell me what you did wrong, and then rework the problem correctly, and then turn that into me by the 8th, okay? And you should have access to see your test. You should have access, yes, you do. You have access to see your test, and I'm going to even make it see the test with the correct answers. The rubric that's on the free response question, don't go by that because I changed the free response question at the last minute, but I didn't change the rubric, so it's going to give you a totally different question, so don't look at that, okay? Because I changed that at the last minute, but. Okay. Any questions on how to do that? All right. Okay, so let's talk about our formal lab report. So go back in Unit 4. Go back to day 19 because I put everything in there, I think. Empirical formula lab. All right. So your data sheet is in that link right there, and it should make you make a copy of it so that you can edit that however you need, and it's got all the information there. And then I made a video on how to do the graph. Okay, so let's open that up real quick. It does. I will get that changed. I forgot to share it with you, of course. But I'll get that changed. So here's all the information, and basically what you will do is you will take the two red numbers, and you're going to go from grams to moles, just like we did this morning. Okay? We are changing the grams here to moles. And that would be your moles of magnesium. You're going to do that for all. Oh, y'all need breakfast? Go get breakfast. I'm sorry, y'all. I forgot to do that. I don't know what breakfast is, but you gotta walk all the way down there and get breakfast. All right, so you're going to change these grams to moles for all 5 or 6 groups, and then you're going to do the same thing with chlorine, and that's going to go in here and here. You're going to get a ratio. That ratio is going to be your empirical formula. So to get the ratio, you're going to divide each one of these numbers that are in here by the smallest number. Okay? That will give you your empirical formula. So let's say 1 was 0.1 and 1 was 0.2. So then I would take 0.1, divide by 0.1, and that gives me 1. 0.2, divide by 0.1, that gives me 2. So my ratio would be 1 to 2. Okay? You're going to do that all 5 times. Don't round. Normally I would tell you round up, but on this one, don't round up. Keep your regular number. So if it comes out in decimal, keep it as a decimal. Okay? And then then you'll make your table down here of your, oops, no, go away. Of your moles, and then you'll put in a chart. Okay, you'll put in a graph. And the video shows you how to do a graph. It's real easy, super, super easy. You don't have to draw. I don't want it drawn on paper, none of that. You're going to let Google Sheets do it for you. And I'll walk you through all the steps to do that. Okay, now let's talk about the lab report, because we haven't done a formal lab report yet. So if you look down here, here's how I'm going to grade the formal lab report. These are the things you want to shoot for. You want to shoot for getting a 4 out of 4 on each of these categories. Okay, so you want it to be neat. Now that everybody should get that one because we're doing it on computer, so we all have legible handwriting here.
What's your schedule today?
Today, 2nd, 4th, 6th, and 7th.
He's gonna have to come work on that. What period would be best?
6th, I have it with kids.
Okay. Okay, sixth period, which runs like noon to 2, that'd be the best time. I appreciate it, man. He'll come in.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, just want to get that thing fixed, so.
I know, it's nice in here right now. It's nice and toasty. Before, yesterday it was freezing.
Yeah, so we'll try to get that fixed.
All right, so you want to make sure that you have all of those things. No more than 3 spelling errors. No, you don't have to worry about scribbling stuff out because I said you're not handwriting it. So that's going to make that easy. Title and date, empirical formula lab report. And then whatever the date is. That should be an easy points there too. Purpose. The purpose of the lab, if you open up your student data sheet that you got from the PDF and all, it will tell you what purpose is. If you read that beginning information, it tells you purpose. Okay? Or it'll give you an essential question. That's basically your purpose. Okay? So you're just going to copy that from the lab handout. So that's not, you might need to take, if all they give you is the essential question, you may need to take that question and turn it into an actual sentence. But other than that, that's your purpose. Okay? So no biggie there. Data. All right, the data is going to be what we recorded on that Google Sheet. That's your data. Okay? So the data is recorded into the lab book, experimentation, blah, blah, blah. So you could do it a couple of ways. On the lab report, you could actually take that table and copy it into your lab report, or you could put a link to the Google Slides, to the Google Sheets, not slides, sorry. So you can do that however you want, as long as in the report, we are able to see the data. However you want to do that, okay? Data is neat and organized. So again, that should be an easy one because you got the table. It's right there. Nice and neat and organized, the way it's supposed to be. All you got to do is get it from the Google Sheet into your lab report. Okay? Procedure. Now on the procedures, if you look at the student handout that I gave you with the lab, it gives you procedures, right? It tells you what you were supposed to do at each step. You're going to take those procedures. Now, in a lab report, I don't want it don't cut and paste. Don't cut and paste from the lab handout into your lab report. Give me a detailed summary. That's the way I'm going to put it. So it doesn't have to be number 1 was, number 2 was, number 3 was. You don't have to have it lined out like that, but you do need to give me the steps that you went through, or a summary of the steps you went through to do this lab. Okay, because the point of the lab report is for you to give it to Mr. White, him read it, and be able to go in there and do it. That's the point of a lab report. Okay, and that's how detailed you need to be. All right, but don't copy and paste either. You don't need that. Calculations and graphs, again, you've done those in your Google Sheet. Calculations part means I got to see the work. So on the grams to moles conversions, somewhere, I have to see the work for that. On the percent error, I have to see the work for that. You can put it on that, all on that Google Sheet and have a whole section of that Google Sheet be calculations if you want to. Or again, you can put them in your report. However you want to do that, it's fine with me. It just either needs to have a link in there or you need to actually have it in the paper. You have to show your work.
Can we do it on paper, take a picture and put it on the laboratory?
Yes, you can do that. Probably won't accept that next year because we need to be a little more professional with that next year. But this year's fine. You can just introduce to it. You can do it on paper, take a picture of it, insert it into that Google document of your formal lab. Conclusions. You need to, again, write a conclusion to this whole lab. What did we learn? What did we gain out of this lab? Describes what can be concluded from the results. It is aligned with the purpose. So what your conclusion needs to say, all right, our purpose was to find the mole ratio of magnesium to chlorine. In your conclusion, you could say, we found the mole ratio of magnesium to chloride was 1 to 1 point whatever. And then tell me what that means. Okay? Error analysis, you're doing a percent error. So if yours comes out to be 21% error, which is entirely possible, you need to state that, and you need to maybe offer some explanations as to why that may have happened. Write-up analyzes the effect of errors. Specific sources of experimental errors are addressed. Maybe you heated it too fast. Maybe this, maybe that. So you got to think about it. There's not one specific answer. See? Questions. The post-lab questions that are in the student handout, you'll need to answer those questions and put them in here. Put them in your report. So just like copy them, put them in your report. Okay?
Just at the bottom or like incorporated into.
You can just incorporate them at the bottom. Yeah. As far as grading, that would be the easiest thing to do because then I can just take this rubric and go check. Hey, I'm fine. How are you? Okay. Yes, actually both of them you can take. All right.
Well, like I saw submitted Daniela Gordon's Edmonds, and I was like, oh no, they got found out.
They better figure out a way to do it.
I haven't even done that.
I haven't even done the total.
They did not.
Well,
I'm sure if I
I
look.
have 88.98.
Great.
Questions on me? 82.
She said that you were correct. He said.
Yeah, I guess so.
That's all I'm about.
All right. The POGIL, you have to do it and you'll have to submit it here, but that's not part of your lab report or anything like that. Okay? This, as far as helping you do the formal lab write-up, this is the document you'll need to make sure you download, the student PDF. Okay? So,
Will we have a different place to turn the lab report in, or will we have to come back and submit it?
I would submit it all right here. And let's just have like 3 revisions or 3 submissions. Yeah.
So I
Just
can
have 3
submit
submissions.
my report just for the preschool.
Yeah. That way I can go in one place and find all of it. So you're going to submit your lab report, your POGIL, and the student date sheet, all right here. Okay? The POGIL that was attached to this. Yeah, the second thing. So, like I said, there's your essential question, your introduction, your essential question, which take that essential question and basically turn it into a statement, and that can be your purpose. Here are all your procedures. Please, again, do not copy and paste all 14 of those word for word. Read them, give me a detailed summary of them. Here are all of your data questions. So at the end of your lab report, those 7 questions have to be incorporated and answered. Okay? Or actually, it's not 7. Woohoo! Look at there. Oh my gosh. No, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Hang on. Hang on. I'm about to make your day. If you just wait a minute. All right, so on a piece of paper, you can write down that you can take out number 12. You can take out number 15. Data sheet. You can take out number 19. You can take out number 20. 12, 15, 19, and 20. I do want you to do all the others. On the Lewis structure one, you might want to, that might be one you do want to do on a piece of paper and insert a picture. Okay? Do not do 22. We're not going to do 22. So you can cancel all that mess out. And we're not going to do the elaborate either. So we can cancel that out. Yeah. Okay?
Okay, so
You are going to do 21. I do want you to.
22, is that whole?
That 22 is that whole page there. I don't want you to do it. Yeah. Good. I'm glad. That's my goal. Okay. All right. So you don't have, if you look in Schoology, we have a lot of things that we're doing today. But if you notice, the only one that's due Friday is this lab report and I think an ed puzzle. Yeah.
There's 2 things that's due today.
Right. We're heading that direction right now. All right. Okay, so Unit 5. Your Unit 5 notes are here. I'm not going to print them off. If you want to print them off. That's great. But I'm running out of paper and ink. But so, here are the notes for Unit 5. And if you open this up, or at least it should, I have them in 2 forms. I have them as Kami, so you can open it up with Kami. I also have them as links to Google Documents. So however you want to do that, do them, get them printed off. If you don't want to print them off, that's fine with me. I don't care. But you need to look at them. That is the point of having them. All right? So especially while you're doing the ed puzzles, I would make sure that I had my notes on a split screen. Ed puzzle here, notes here. Okay? All right, so here's today, day 1. Oh, before we get to day 1, let's look back here. Look at tomorrow. I will give extra credit points to those who join the Google Meet at 10 with a specific question about the Empirical Formula Lab, yesterday's lesson, or the test, or whatever. Okay?
You said just one.
One question.
We just have to ask you a question.
You just have to ask a question and get an answer.
Wait a minute. And it's extra.
No. You gotta come to the Google Meet on Wednesday. And it's extra
What
credit.
time, 10 a.m.?
Okay,
10 a.m.
10 a.m. so-
what happens if we have softball practice at 10 a.m.?
So many people on it.
Alright,
It's like 40
what happens if you can't make it at 10 a.m.?
Then it goes like 12.
No, then you don't get extra credit.
Then you can be here Thursday morning at 7:15.
I'm here this time anyway.
Can I ask you?
So those are your two options.
I'm sorry.
No, email. Once you make them.
30?
Alright, so those are your two options. This extra credit will go on either test you want. Well, go ahead, one. It will go on your test. You want to add points to your test. So, Wednesday, 10 a.m. Come to the Google Meet with a specific question, not, I don't understand this. Okay?
Explain the insurance.
No, you don't give me that, I will not give you extra credit. That's kind of question. I don't know how to do this stuff.
What if we don't?
Can you
ask
explain
questions?
all of chapter 4?
What if I tell you don't make it? Then all-
It's gotta be specific.
February is like
If it's about, listen, if it's about the test, it's gotta be specific. In number 5, I didn't understand why we did this, or what, gotta be specific, right? You
specific.
can't come Wednesday at 10, meet me here Thursday at 7:15, and we'll do the same thing, you'll get the same point. Right? Yes,
Can I just ask you study home?
no,
Ah,
I know my question.
no,
Are you supposed to get in the building?
do they even know?
I'll open the door for you. I will be in the library at 7:15, and I will open the door, I'll check the temperature.
Like the old second here, 10.
Right? Or you can just wake up at 10 and come to the,
Yeah, it's
10 o'clock, it's not super
It's
early.
better than 7:15.
Just go back to bed after
Probably
you
a river.
I'll tell you on something else.
Or you can, just
You're like,
join on the softball field.
What's the number 4?
Time out.
Yeah, can I just ask you?
Text
a
money
question
on
for
break.
worksheet?
Now, the reason I'm doing this is because I want you to join these Google Meets. I mean, they're there as a time when you can ask me a question about anything. It's a full hour of, we don't have to discuss anything but what you want to ask me a question about. And they're there every single Wednesday. And we had a Google Meet Wednesday. We had a test Friday. Nobody showed up for the Google Meet.
We didn't know.
It's always there. I have told you this every week. It's there all the time. Every Wednesday, I'm sitting there at my house or here. Nobody?
I feel bad.
Occasionally, people join to make up stuff because that's when you make up tests.
you're just sitting there by yourself.
Yes,
Don't make it worse.
So sad. Okay.
That's why.
All right. All right. So if I need the company, I'll bribe it out of you, I guess. Okay. All right. So let's talk about Unit 5. Unit 5 builds on what we learned in Unit 4. Okay, so this is why we took the whole first half of this class to kind of go over things again. You are going to see all of this again. You'll see it from now until the time school's out. So I hate to break it to you. We just need to suck it up and do it. Don't forget, progress reports go out Friday.
Oh my word.
That's awesome, dude.
I know it is, isn't it? Yay!
Once this week is over, I'm going to have gray hair and I might be like around.
All right. So this unit talks about chemical reactions. So in the last unit, we learned about naming compounds, naming formulas, how to turn grams into moles, all that kind of stuff. Now we're going to look at when we mix two things together, like we did in our empirical formula lab. When we take magnesium and we take hydrochloric acid and we put it together, what are we going to make? So we're going to learn how to predict those products. We're going to learn how we write that out, okay, in a chemical equation. Not a math equation, but a chemical equation. And then we're going to learn how to manipulate that as far as finding out how many grams of stuff we should make, finding out how many molds of stuff we should make, finding out what's going to run out first. This is very much like cooking, in that when you go into the kitchen, you have a recipe, and you go in your cabinets and you look and see everything you've got, and you got to figure out, well, I don't have 2 eggs for these chocolate chip cookies. I only have 1. So what's that going to do to my recipe? Am I going to be able to make this 3 dozen chocolate chip cookies that I'm supposed to? No, they're going to run out. Okay, we call that a limiting reagent. That's what's going to run out first. So it's very similar, so keep that analogy in your mind, similar to that. So chemical reaction, by definition, is a process in which one or more reactions is changed into something else. So we are turning one thing into a completely different thing. In chemical formula, we took magnesium, we took hydrochloric acid, and we turned it into magnesium chloride. That was that white solid that was in the bottom of the beaker. Reactants are the things that we start with, and they are always written on the left side. So a lot of this right here is memorization. Okay, reactants we always put on the left. Products are the things that are being formed, and we always put them on the right. There's an arrow in the middle that shows we are taking this and turning it into this. You could equate the arrow in a chemical equation to the equal sign in a math equation. 1 plus 1 equals 2. Reactants plus reactants equals this product. And we write an arrow, okay? The law of conservation of mass, probably learned this way back in 8th grade physical science, says that you cannot create, theory, or destroy matter. Matter is only transformed, changed from one form to another. We can't create it, we can't destroy it. So whatever atoms we have to start with, we have to end up with those same atoms. Now they might be rearranged, they might be in a different place, but they're still there. They can't just disappear, okay? And they can't just appear on the other side out of nowhere. That's law of conservation of mass, of matter, okay? Oops. I'm stuck. Okay. So there is a screencast of this. This is what your Edpuzzle is on. So just remember that as you were watching that Edpuzzle. Oh, and I can't erase this. Okay, well, I'm stuck with that. Anyway. I know. Yeah, I gotta find. Maybe if I hit escape. There we go. All right, so a skeleton equation, like we said, is just the reactants on one side, the products on the other, the arrow is in the middle. If it is not balanced, we call that a skeleton equation. All chemical equations must be balanced. That means we have the same number of atoms on both sides. Like I said, they can be rearranged, but they have to be the same number on both sides. Okay, so make sure you know that a balanced chemical equation is where we have equal numbers of things on both sides of the arrow. All right, now, we spent a ton of time learning how to write formulas. Okay, when you get over here to the equation, once you write a formula, you don't change it. We may have to change the number of things on both sides, but we don't change a formula. The way we change that number of things is what we call a coefficient. And it's just a small whole number in front of the formula. So it's very similar to what you have in math. So in math, if I write that term 2x, what does that term mean? 2 times x. Same thing here. If I write 2 CO2, That coefficient of 2 means I have 2 of them. So I have 2 carbons and how many oxygens? Look. 4, because there's 2, and in each CO2, there's 2 oxygens, and 2 times 2 is 4. Okay? So just like in math, when we take that coefficient and we multiply it by everything it's in front of, we do the same thing here. That 2 gets multiplied by everything it's in front of. So 2 times 1 for the carbons, 2 times 2 for the oxygen. Okay? All right. I'm going to erase this before I move on now. Okay, so knowing how to balance an equation is a huge, huge, huge deal in here, okay? So, and it's not hard. It's just one of those things you have to learn how to do, okay? It can be frustrating at times because a lot of it is trial and error. So use a pencil because otherwise you're going to drive yourself nuts. So here are the steps to balancing equations. These should be in your notes, so you don't have to copy each one down. They should be in your notes. That's up to you. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to identify the reactants and products. So reactants on the left, products on the right, always. You're going to write the skeleton equation. That means you're going to write the formulas for the names of the compounds that they're going to give you. You'll write the formula. Get the formula right. Once you get it right, you leave it alone, okay? You'll count the atoms and balance each one by changing the coefficients. Do not change the subscript. If you change the subscript, change the formula. If we take CO2 and we take the subscript off and just change it to CO, what did we do? We don't have carbon dioxide anymore. We have carbon monoxide, which is completely different. Okay? Totally different compound, different properties, different everything. So you cannot change the subscript. Okay? All we can do is change the coefficient. And then we double check by recounting, and that means you may have to double check, triple check, quadruple check. You may be checking quite a lot until you get it right. You just do it until it works. Okay? Make sure all the coefficients, here's another little key thing that we tend to forget. Make sure all the coefficients are the lowest possible whole number ratio. So if it's 2, 2, 2, and 2, you got to reduce that down to 1, 1, 1, and 1. Okay? So everything's got to be formulas, or no, not formulas. Not formulas. Your coefficients have to be your lowest possible whole number. Okay? All right, so I don't like how they did this. Why did they do that and give you the answer? Okay, anyway, we're going to pretend. Let's see that. Hopefully they haven't memorized. But anyway, all right, so this is how they'll do it. They'll give you a word equation. Sometimes they'll be nice and give you the formula. But a lot of times they're going to give it to you as words. And then you have to change those words into formulas. And then we have to balance that out. So, what's the symbol for potassium? Okay. What's the formula for water? H2O. And that with that, we make potassium hydroxide. How do I write that formula? K and OH. How do I know it's KOH? No. Because potassium has what charge? Positive 1. What does hydroxide have? Negative 1. So we just need one of each. Okay? That OH, hydroxide, is a polyatomic ion that you should have memorized a long time ago.
So this is really fun.
Yes. And then we have hydrogen gas, which is just H2. Okay. That's my skeleton equation. That's all my formulas. But it's not balanced because, well, we have to make sure, we have to see if it's balanced. Sorry. We have to check and see if it's balanced. So we look at every element. So look at the K's. Do I have the same number of K's on the left and the right? Yes. Do I have the same number of H's on the left and the right?
No.
No. How many do I have on the left? 2. How many do I have on the right? 3. Do I have the same number of O's on the left and right? Yes, I do. Okay, so somehow I've got to get from 2 hydrogens on the left to 3 hydrogens on the right, because I can't just have 1 hydrogen appear out of nowhere. So what could I do to change that?
If you put a 2 in front of the K, 2 in front of water, and a 2 in front of KOH.
Okay, let's start, because I see your mind is working very quickly. Let's start with just the hydrogens first, okay? And do one element at a time. So let's try and balance out the hydrogens first. And then we'll balance out, we'll have to go back and balance everything else out. So if I want to balance out the hydrogens, what should I put in front of the H's? What do I put in front of the H's? To get to have the same number on both sides. I put a 2 where? In front of which one? H2O, let's put a 2 here, okay? If I do that, I now have 4 hydrogens on the left and 3 on the right, okay? So what do I do now? To get the ones on the right to balance with the ones on the left. If I put a 2 in front of the KOH, now that gives me, because this coefficient goes with everything it's in front of, that gives me 2 hydrogens plus 2 hydrogens is 4, and that's 4 as well. So, but now I messed up everything else, didn't I?
You have the right number of oxygen.
Okay, I do have the right number of oxygens. I got 2 oxygens here and 2 here, so that's okay. So, but I did mess up the potassiums. I just put a 2 right here. Do y'all remember doing this at all in physical science way back in 8th grade?
Well, we got.
You probably. Okay. All right. Okay, so
No.
if you notice, the only thing I ever changed in there was the coefficient, and that's all you're going to do. You cannot go in and change the subscripts, because then you change what it is, okay? And it's going to take you, like I said, use a pencil, okay? Combustion ones are the hardest ones to do. We'll get to those later. But sometimes you're going to be erasing. Least common multiple is going to be your best friend. You're going to think, what's the least common multiple? What can I get on this? Okay. All right, so let's try another one. And this is going to be practice, 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 just like your other ones were. So sodium hydroxide, what's the formula? NaOH. Sulfuric acid. What's the formula for sulfuric acid? It's got to have an H in front. We know that. Ic means it came from the polyatomic ion of 8, SO4, and SO4 has a -2 charge, so I need 2 hydrogens. Because sulfate, because the word it ends in ic, that means it's from a polyatomic ion, and that polyatomic ion has to end in 8. That's sulfate, SO4. SO4 has a -2 charge. Hydrogen, because it's in the first column, only has a +1 charge. I have 2 balance it out. The base 2, SO4. All right, sodium sulfate is my next thing. What would sodium sulfate look like? What's the formula for sodium sulfate? Na, yeah. SO4, but SO4 is a -2 charge, so I need 2 sodiums. Na2, SO4. And then hopefully the last one we can get. H2O. So we got a lot of things to count up. So the easiest way to do it, just like make you a list, a mental list or an actual physical list. Let's look at our sodiums. I have 1 on the left, 2 on the right. That's not balanced. Okay, so let's put a 2 here. All right. Now I have 2 sodiums on both sides. I have 2 oxygens and plus 4 oxygens. What's 2 plus 4? 6. But I have 4 and 1 over here. That's 5. So what can I do? Let's put a 2 in front of the H2O. So that's 4 plus 2 is 6. So now my oxygens for right now are balanced. Let's try our hydrogens. I've got 2 there plus 2 there. That's 4. 2 times 2 is 4. Yay, those work. I'm going to do anything extra. I got 1 sulfur. I got 1 sulfur. Whew.
They're easy.
They're easy, but they are time consuming. And they're not always going to work out perfectly. Sometimes you're going to be scratching your head, but it will work. Okay? As long as you have your formulas right. Now, if you've messed up your formulas, yours? Eventually, yes. I don't know. 9:20. Okay, let's do one more on here. And then we'll move on. Ammonium chloride. What's the formula? Ammonium is a polyatomic ion. You gotta begin recognizing these. Ammonia is NH3. Ammonium is NH4. NH4 plus 1 charge. So chloride is Cl with a negative 1 charge. So I just have 1 of each. Right? So sodium hydroxide, what's that going to be? NaOH. Ammonia, what's that? NH3. That's one you probably just want to memorize because you can't tell by the name. Okay? Water, another one you probably want to memorize because you can't tell by the name, but hopefully you know what it is at this point in your career, in your life. Sodium chloride. Formula for sodium chloride. NaCl. Na is a plus 1 charge. Cl is a negative 1 charge. I just have 1 of each. Okay. All right, so let's look at the nitrogens. 1 nitrogen, 1 nitrogen. Yes, so far so good. Let's look at the hydrogens. I got 4 plus 1 is 5. Over here, I got 3 plus 2 is 5. Hey, so far so good. Chlorines, I got 1. Yes. Sodium, I got 1. No, it's not. Oxygen, I got 1. It's balanced. Wow. Occasionally, they come out to be balanced.
That just makes my days better.
I know, but you what? Yeah, there's going to be one. Like I said, the hardest ones for me are when we get to combustion reactions where we're burning stuff. We're not literally burning stuff, but the reaction is that we are burning something. Those are always just hard to balance. So you can just say that. All right, so let's move on to the next slide here, see what else we got. So that's how we balance equations, and you do have a practice sheet that we'll get started on, and we'll have for homework coming up. I think it's like Monday or something. No, go away. And it's just a whole bunch of these that you'll have to balance out. And like I said, the answers may possibly be in the back behind the worksheet. I'm not sure. But if you just copy and paste, I'm going to know it when you take your test because you're going to do really bad on the test. Oh, yes.
I love doing it on paper.
All right, so there's different types of reactions. It is, to me, it's faster too, but, you know, yeah.
You have to click the paintball.
Yeah, I know. That is going. All right, so we have basically four types of reactions. Direct combination or synthesis reactions where we're literally just adding two things together and boom, you make a product of those two things. We have decomposition reactions, and in decomposition reactions, what we are doing is we are splitting up one thing into two things. We have single replacement, where you have a compound and an element, and the element replaces the compound. This is what we did in empirical formula lab. We had the element magnesium, we had the compound HCl, and the magnesium took the place of the H, and they just swapped places. We made hydrogen gas, that's what all those little bubbles were, and then the magnesium chloride was the solid at the bottom. Using activity series is just, there are some elements that are more reactive than others, and there is a list of those, and you use that list to predict what will replace what, okay? And we'll get to that in a minute. And then double replacements are really easy. You have two compounds and everything switches partners, and you make two new compounds, okay? The last type, which would be 5, that's our combustion reaction. And combustion reaction is literally where we burn something. And the good thing about a combustion reaction is that you always get the same product. No matter what you burn, you always get the same product, carbon dioxide and water, and a lot of heat, obviously. So when you have to predict what your products are, combustion reactions are easy because it's carbon dioxide, water, and heat. Okay. So here's some examples. I think we're gonna hang up on those for just a second, and let's go to the balancing equation worksheet, and we're gonna open that up. So if you want to open it up, or if you want to do them on paper, that's fine. You'll need to open it to see what the problems are. But we're gonna work a couple of these, and I'll get you started on them, and then you will be finishing them for homework. Let's see, did I give you answers? Hallelujah, I didn't give you answers. I will say, let's just do the evens on these, because there's 50 of them. And you do have another worksheet, so you think I'm being nice, but I'm really not. I'm just going from being
But it makes my mind.
not nice, I'm not being Satan, basically. Okay, all right. Yeah, I'll change it up there. All right, so on this one's super easy. And these should go pretty quick because I do give you the formula. So you don't have to change subscripts, you don't have to worry about that. All you gotta do is put in the right coefficients. So if we have 2 hydrogens here, 2 hydrogens here, and we have 2 oxygens here and only 1 over here, what are we gonna put here to balance out our oxygens? What are we gonna put on the left side to balance out the oxygens? A 2. But that messes everything else up because now I have 4 hydrogens. So what am I going to do? Put a 2 right here. Done. If you leave it blank, that is an understood 1. You don't have to write the 1 in there. That's just understood to be 1. Okay?
That's 4. And that's 2.
So 2 times 2 is 4. So we have 4 hydrogens right here. We have 2 times 2 is 4. 4 hydrogens right here. I have 2 times 2, 2 oxygens. And this is already 2 oxygens.
2 on the third blank because the oxygen that in turn made you put 2 on the first blank.
Exactly.
I got it.
Yes. All right, let's move on to the next one. Number 2. We're only doing evens. So let's skip down to number 4. We'll do number 4 together. Remember, we're only doing evens today. I don't know. It was an easy one. Sorry. No. Number 4. Number 4. We got 2 nitrogens and 2 nitrogens. That's good. But again, we have 2 oxygens on the left and only 1 on the right. What are we going to do? Put a 2 there. Which then we also have to put a 2 here.
So do we just need to write one?
No, you can leave it there. It's fine.
Can I do the ones?
No.
Whoa.
All right. Let's take a look at number 6. Number 6 is getting, you get bigger compounds, things get a little more complicated. On number 6, I have 1 carbon on the left, but I have 6 on the right. What should I do? Let's try
I
that.
remember this.
Let's try putting a 6 right there.
This is gonna suck.
Now, I got 2 hydrogens here, but I have 12 hydrogens here.
Let's put a 6 in front.
Let's try putting a 6 right there.
But that first stage messed up the oxygen.
Okay, we're getting there, yeah. So now, let's try and balance our oxygens. On the left, I got 6 times 2 is 12, plus 6 is 18. Over here, I got 6 and 2 is 8. How can I get 8 and turn it into 18?
We put a 6 in front of the O2.
If I put a 6 right here, 6 times 2 is 12.
Plus
What's
6,
12 plus
18.
6?
Everything's good.
18.
I'm so confused.
Okay,
Wow.
6
look at it. Just look at it. A lot of these, you just have to, I can say it forever, and it's going to make sense. But until you look at it and think about it.
Oh,
6 times 6 is 12 for the 6 here for the carbons, 6 carbons. Let's erase this and start over. Pick an element that you want to balance first. It really doesn't matter which one. If I want to balance carbons first, I got 6 carbons here, I need to put a 6 right there. Okay? Now let's find another element to balance. Let's do the hydrogens. Here I have 12 hydrogens, but over here I only have 2. How am I going to get 12 on the left side? I'm going to put a 6. 6 times 2 is 12, right? Okay. That just leaves my oxygens. 6 times 2 is 12. Plus 6 is 18, right? Okay. If I look over here, I got 6 oxygens right here and 2 right here. That's only 8. But I need 18. Okay? So if I put a 6 right there, that gives me 6 times 2 is 12. Plus the 6 here is 18.
Oh, this is.
Okay. It doesn't matter which order you do it in at all, as long as they come out to be the same number on both sides. Okay?
Hey.
All right.
It's 7, but I thought it was gonna be.
Thought you got a real easy one, but it turned out not to be. Yeah. All right, let's scroll down to the second page where they give you the name and not the formula. Fun, fun, fun.
Oh.
Now you got to come up with the formula. All right, let's try 26. Yeah, I'm not so nice, am I? 26, dicarbon dihydride. What in the world is that? Dicarbon dihydride.
Okay. 2 carbons.
2 carbons,
2 hydrogens.
2 hydrogens. Very good. Plus oxygen. What's oxygen? Oh, what? 2. Oxygen is a diatomic molecule. Oxygen, hydrogen, nitrogen, and all the halogens are what we call diatomic, because there's always 2 of them. Goes to carbon dioxide. What's that? CO2 and H2O, water. Okay, so let's go in here. Which one do you want to balance first?
Carbon.
All right, just try carbon. We got 2 on the left. How many do we have on the right? How am I going to fix that?
2.
Put a 2 here. All right. I put a 2 in front of CO2. So what do you want to balance now? Okay, let's try hydrogen. We got 2 hydrogens over here on the left. I got 2 on the right. Oh, look at that. They're already balanced. That makes life easier. So that leaves oxygen. Got 2 oxygens on the left. How many oxygens do I have? 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. Ugh. So what am I going to do? This one is 2, and I need 5. It's a shame you can't do fractions, isn't it?
You can do fractions.
Wouldn't that be something? My
She's saying that
word.
we can.
No, I'm not saying you can't do fractions, but you could start thinking that way. If we could do fractions. If we could do fractions. I have 5 on one side and 2 on the other. How could I get this 2 into 5 if I could use fractions?
10.
Multiply by 5.
Multiply,
2 by 5.
that would give me
Well,
10.
do you have to multiply everything?
Okay, all right, so that's the way you want to find the least common multiple? That's what you're saying? Okay, all right, let's try that. So let's try getting 10 over here. So let's put 5 there. That would give me 10, but now what am I going to do about all this over here? How? I'm going to have to multiply what? I'm going to have to multiply everything twice, right? I'm going to have to double everything, right? So that's going to change that 2 to 4, and that's going to change this 1 to 2. Let's see if that works. Yeah, that works for the oxygens. Now I have 10 oxygens. But what did I do?
Now the carbon.
Well, I messed up everything else. Right?
Just
So
add
you
two.
what do I do now?
You put 2 in front of.
I just put a 2 right here. Okay, so let's go back. This is where we got to double and triple check. Let's go back and make sure I have the same thing on both sides. 2 times 2 is 4 carbons. 2 times 2 is 4 hydrogens. 5 times 2 is 10 oxygens. Over here I have 4 times 1 is 4 carbons. 2 times 2 is 4 hydrogens. That's 8 plus 2 is 10 oxygens. It's all balanced. So that's the route you gotta go.
And there's not an answer to on this.
Oh, good.
There's none.
No,
Whenever
no.
we type it out though, our big numbers and then our subscripts are the same size. So do you want us to change the color?
There's a little, if you do a text box, it gives you a toolbar for a subscript. Mm-hmm.
Up there, it's at the top.
Yeah, it's at the top. But that would be one way to handle that situation. If you didn't have one, you could make it a different color. Okay, so questions.
I don't like this.
You don't like this?
This one of the
I'm sorry.
That was the
It's
first.
just very time consuming.
It is.
And you can kind of get overwhelmed.
It is. So
Don't get overwhelmed.
you think of the how do you eat an elephant?
How do you, what?
How do you eat an
12
elephant?
pieces of
You could.
One bite at a time.
I was thinking you could.
How much is a bite?
As much as you can handle. One bite at a time.
You went for
Oh my God.
Okay? So, same with this. Now, it's going to take you a long time to eat that elephant, so you don't want to procrastinate.
I'm not
There.
I'm not gonna
There is our biggest issue. Do not procrastinate. Just do a few of them at a time. If you sit down and try and do all these at one time, yeah, that's going to be overwhelming and you're going to be crying, because I'd be crying. So don't do that.
That was just the first
Wait,
one.
wait.
That was just
I'm
the
done
first
with practice problems.
Wait,
Yes?
can we go number 8?
8. How about we go to the bathroom first?
Okay, that's
All right.
You're supposed to put
Okay, that's why I couldn't write on it. All right, so what we're doing now is we're just at fec.colorado.edu, and we are playing the balancing equations game simulation. So if you go to fet.colorado.edu,
Not simplify. We may.
and we are doing balancing equations. So we have walked through the introduction, and now they are playing the game. And you will just balance these equations. You have to tell the computer to start with one of each, and then you will wind up having to balance these out. Okay? So we have 1 carbon, 1 carbon. We have 6 hydrogens and 2 hydrogens here. We have 2 oxygens and 3 oxygens. So, ooh, Need to put 3 there. That's 3, and 2 is 5. This is 6. And, okay, so my hydrogens are now balanced. I had 2 oxygens here, but I have 3 here. So, I put 2 there, that gives me 4.
This is better.
Yeah, I agree.
Ooh, this first one's a bit hard.
I do too, and I'm like,
Okay.
why is it wrong? It's not wrong.
Four, 4, 8, 9, 10, 11. Ugh. Let's check this back down.
Let's add, I wanna add this one.
4, 5, 6, 7. So if I have 7 here, I need to get 7 over here.
It says balanced, not simplified.
Not simplified means you need to have the lowest common multiple. So you'll need to take all your coefficients and divide them by the one number that will go into all of them. You need the smallest whole number ratio. So this is 7. So if I did 14 on either side, that would be at least common multiple for both. Which means I would then have to double everything else.
What does that mean?
Whoops. Means you got it wrong.
No, it says it's not simplified.
That means you got to reduce the numbers down to the smallest whole number ratio. Yay, there we go. Got it right.
Not cool.
Yes, it is, because that's how we do it.
See, I think writing it's easier because I'm seeing
Yeah, for some people it is.
it.
But simplest whole number ratio means if you got 2, 2, 4, and 2, you need to reduce everything down to 1, 1, 2, and 1. And anyone, so if you look at this one that I have up here on the screen, I have a hydrocarbon and oxygen. I'm making CO2 and water. This is a combustion reaction, and they are always monsters.
I just did one.
I don't like it.
Had
Is that not the
12
last?
more,
Yeah.
and it was crazy.
I don't,
Oh, I'm on level 3.
all combustions are rough to me.
Okay,
Oh.
so there's one carbon. And then 2
So remember too to always start with 1 of each. There is a way. There's always a way. Life finds a way. So 2 there. So that's going to be 6. I need 3 here. Whoops. That's 6. I got 2 oxygens and 3 oxygens here. So, yeah. So that would be, at least common multiple would be 6. So if I put
I am so good.
3 here,
I do like the easiest of editing this one though.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier than
6 there. That balances my oxygen but messes up my hydrogens.
It's like I'm digging myself a hole
I
out.
had that one. That one was rough.
Not 4. Yes, 4. 4 times 3 is 12.
But if you simplify
Now I've got messed up nitrogens, so there. Now, all of these coefficients, except for 3, I could reduce them all down, but 3, nothing will go into 3 that will also go into 4 and 6 and 2. So this should be correct. Yay.
Are we gonna do the checkpoint before we do?
Oh, goodness, I forgot about the checkpoint. Yes.
Oh, goodness.
Okay. So go ahead and stop on that one
Man.
and go back to today's date. And let's do the checkpoint.
We gotta go to the lockdown browser.
Yeah, so go ahead and log out and go do the lockdown browser. And I'm going to put the preview of it up here. This one is timed, guys.
Oh,
It's
no.
timed.
Oh,
It's timed.
We can't do this at home.
actually be that might be mine. Yeah, that's mine. So pass that back to her. All right, so there's your question. You'll have five, like I said, you'll have 5 minutes. All you have to do, listen. Before you have to come apart, I'm gonna explain what to do. You have to see which one of these is balanced correctly. Okay, that's it. So if you read all of this is reading and writing about blah, 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 don't need all that in order to be able to do it, don't need all that, don't need all that. Which of the choices below describes the correct balanced equation for silver nitrate and copper chloride to produce silver chloride and copper nitrate? So all they want to know is which one is balanced.
What's the AQs right there for them?
Don't need to worry about it.
Okay,
It tells you if it's a solid or a liquid, or if it's dissolved in water, or if it's a gas. But as far as balancing the equation, does nothing. Means nothing.
Oh, this is easy.
So yes, just balance. Well, okay, choose your answer.
This is easy.
I hadn't got.
Wait,
I
my,
hadn't
can we
got
walk out of my Chromebook?
Is that the
What?
one
I have
question?
to walk out of my Chromebook?
Yes, because it's on a lockdown process.
Is that the one question?
Yep, that's it. That's it. That's all.
Unless you answer wrong
Okay.
on your,
All right. So, all
Yeah.
right. So go to your lockdown browser. Open it
I
up.
just did.
It is exactly what you just did, which
I
is
just
why.
realized that, dude.
Which is why I put it at the end of today, and why I'm so glad that Brody reminded me we need to do it.
Thank
I just
you.
didn't
So
want
that y'all can see I can do this.
Wait a minute, what is the student's name?
Whatever it says, I don't know what
It's
it says.
tonight at midnight.
Okay, tonight at midnight.
I don't need institute.
Is it being slow? Your institution is Morgan County School.
If you just sit there and wait, it just goes through for you.
I know, that's what I did.
I don't think there's not a password or anything like that, so you don't have to worry about that. You can sign in.
oh,
You don't have to worry about that. Just bear in mind, once you hit the start, you got 5 minutes.
What is
5
AQs?
minutes.
It means it's dissolved in water. It has nothing to do with balancing the
Oh,
equation.
Just throw it away.
Forget it's there.
It's
Doesn't mean
really
anything.
just look and see if it's even.
Yeah, that's it. Just look and see if you got the
Then
same
we
thing on
say-
both sides.
Do we just say which one's even?
Yep, 1, 2, 3, 4. Your choices are A, B, C, or D down here. Answer 1 is correct because. Answer 2 is correct because. Answer 3 is correct because. Answer 4 is correct because.
oh.
And then you'll choose A, B, C, or D. Okay?
If it's like NO3, but that's all in parentheses, does the 3 go to the end too?
The 3 inside the parentheses only goes with the oxygen. If there was a number outside the parentheses, then it would. Okay?
That feels so hard.
Wait, what is
I'll probably
S?
get it wrong.
Is S?
No, feel proud of yourself.
Is S?
Yeah, any of those little things after where it says parentheses AQ, parentheses S, that just tells you what form it's in. It doesn't do anything for balancing the equation. Ignore it.
Dude, I'm gonna get this wrong.
Just think about it, take a deep breath, and then you make your choice.
I feel like-
Remember, you don't have 5 minutes.
I feel like somebody just got it wrong, because I heard banging all the time.
It's okay.
How do you see what you got?
I don't know,
I'm
to be honest. I mean, it should, I don't know. I'll have to go, probably have to go change it in the section, which I can do. Let me do that now.
That doesn't know me.
So.
I think if you log out.
Yes, you will be able to see with correct answers, but you'll have to log out and then log back in.
I think you just sign back in.
Yeah.
To the,
It's wrong, it's wrong.
There you go. You just figure out what you did wrong and then you don't make that same mistake again. That's the point.
You go back to the logout browser.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah, you have to go back to the lockdown browser to see it again. All right, and so this is counted as a bell ringer. Okay, so, and actually I need to change this because it's only worth 5 points, not 10. I think that makes it easier. So it's not a test grade, it's not a huge deal. Okay? It was only worth 5 points in the actual question anyway. And if you go back and look at it, if you go back and look, for those of you who think you've got it wrong, you go back and look, there are points awarded for wrong answers depending on the wrong answer that you chose. If you chose the distractor, you get 3 points.
What was the
If
distraction?
you chose the right answer, you get 5. If you chose anything else, you get 1. I
You
can't
said
tell you what.
before.
When everybody in here is not taking it anymore, I'll take it.
Because I got it wrong, but I think I got the one that.
I would like an explanation. I got it wrong.
I might have got the distraction.
How was that? Did you get it?
The,
was it that one?
What is that? What is
How was
it?
it?
Okay, never mind, sure.
I
I clicked start and I clicked my answer.
I mean, it's entirely possible that I made a mistake. I will check.
was seeing on like, they're all one.
I will check it.
Well, I'm just saying, if that was a distraction, at that point, you better make that right, because everybody fixed it.
That doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, if everybody got it wrong, that's
How is
right.
it?
No, it's not.
If they learn it to be C, then it's C.
If we all pick the
No.
same answer,
I'm
you
just
got it
saying.
wrong.
No,
I looked at the one.
That logic is not- it's not the way, that's not the way it goes.
I'm confused.
Oh my god, it is. Oh my god.
It is C,
It
and
didn't
I
look
was
right,
correct.
but it is
That, yeah, just because it doesn't look right doesn't mean.
That just because. Yes, it is. Look at it. Yeah, because you answered
How did you
us.
get it right?
No, I didn't know it. No, right as you said, it doesn't look right. I looked and I was like,
What was it, C?
I'm so pissed.
Me?
But C is also right. So it doesn't matter.
We'd both be right.
No, right as you said, like,
Put two
it's
right
not
answers.
right. I was like, because the freaking, and I was correct to C, and it doesn't make sense. Yes, it does.
It does make sense. It makes perfect sense.
That's whatever I.
C was the
It's not
distractor,
cheating. C is the distractor. D.
Okay, we all
You get
picked C.
3 points.
Okay. All right, D is the right answer. All right, let's look at B.
Wait, what was the actual answer? B.
Answer 2 is correct because all the chemical formulas are written correctly and the equation is balanced correctly.
Because
I didn't see it.
So, it's 2 sodium, 2 silvers, 2 silvers. 2 nitrogens, 2 nitrogens. That 2 goes with that nitrogen. There are 6 oxygens. There are 6 oxygens. Carbon,
Copper.
copper, 2 chlorines, 2 chlorines. Yeah.
Okay, but look, they're
Look at
all
C.
one. Oh,
They're all 1, but did you need them all to be 1? Silver, 1 nitrogen.
one nitrogen.
It's not written correctly. It's not written correctly
Is it because of the
because of the parentheses. You don't need the parentheses, so it's not written correctly. Ah! Yes, ma'am. The correct answer is B. Did you get it? Yay! You got it right.
It's B. It's B. I don't know what B is, but B.
No, it's not.
No, it's not. It's C. It's C, and it's Tristan. It's C.
I failed that test, my grade
Yeah, I know.
like 11 points. Yeah, I'm failing.
We're gonna talk about that.
No, I was 64 now.
We're gonna talk about that.
Hey, I'll tell you this. I turned in all my work and my